the third Sunday of Ordinary Time. We have today the movement of God in the first reading as light illuminating all the areas, the universal love of God. In the gospel, whether you have the long form or the short form, the main picture is that Jesus is moving from mystery into history. And he comes to find people and call them. As we know, God is the finder, the seeker, because that's what the nature of love is to reach out. We are the receivers and the found. And so he comes to along the waters of Galilee, and he meets two people. And they know belonging. So belonging is a bit of a theme today. I have some visual aids for you today. The one is our Creighton University sweatshirt, and those of us who wear Creighton sweatshirts, we belong to Creighton. And then those of us who are Green Bay Packer fans, we also can wear our identity as Green Bay Packer fans. And we can name ourselves by externals. We belong. And so he meets this first group, two who are fishermen. And if you can grant me a little imagination, there's the Israeli National Fishing League. And these first two, Peter and James, they belong to the Galilee Lakers. And then he meets a second group, and they belong to the Capernaum Catchers. And then he goes along in another time, and he meets the people from Caesarea Philippi. They are the Caesarea Flippers. Caesarea Philippi Flippers. And they wear their t-shirts, and that's a sign that they belong. They get their identity from the group. And then Jesus says to them, "Come follow me." And the second couples, the ones from the Capernaum Catchers, they leave their nets, their boat, and their father. Quite a sense of identity, belonging. And so to the Galilean Lakers and the Caesarea Philippi Flippers, they are all called to let go of external, of their sweatshirt. They have caps with a fish on top, the Israeli National Fishing League. And they are heavily into competition with each other. They are in competition within the families and the friends who can catch the most fish, who can make the most money. And then there's Jesus. And he calls us to a more personal, interior identity. I was on a plane one time leaving here from Omaha to Minneapolis, and I was sitting with a young woman, a little girl, I'd say 10, 11 years old. And I said, "Well, where are we off to today?" And she said, "San Francisco." I said, "Oh, that's a fabulous city." And without a wink, she said, "Yeah, but there's a lot of liberals there, and you got to watch out for the liberals." Which, and I felt like she wanted to say liberals, as if that were a dirty word. And I assumed that her parents were across the aisle, and I wasn't going to ask her what liberals were or what's so bad about liberals. So, but it's about identity. At least I'm not one of them. I get my identity by negativity. At least I'm not from Capernaum, or I'm from the Galilee Lakers. And Jesus is calling his early apostles to repent from false identities. And he's still calling to us to let go of names. Our country and our church is so divided by identity. We might not even know what it is. You can hear the liberal agenda or the conservative agenda in the church. And we are more against than we are for. And Jesus says, repent from false identities, from false commitments. Know what you believe, know who you are by my call to you and my intimacy with you. We maybe said it before, but we are changed mostly by the people whom we allow to meet us and who allow us to meet ourselves. So our identity is in us. We need people to help call it out. But that's an area of faith. So the opposite is, let's get a sweatshirt. Let's get an identity. At least we know who we are externally. And so we are beginning, as I said last week, this new agenda, this new semester of not following Jesus. I want to say a word about that. What is it to follow Jesus? It's to follow Jesus inside me. To follow him into me. And then to live it externally. Not just in a sweatshirt. But in how, like Jesus did with the apostles, they went around curing diseases. And one of the diseases, then, I think, is by the way we relate to people. We relate to them as Jesus did. We relate to them more for who they are than what their politics is, what their label is. And we relate to them not by their sweatshirt, but help them know who they are. Not just know what the right agenda is or the left. It's really sad to me, people getting their identity from politics. And they might not even know the full meaning of their politics, but they like the comfort of knowing that they are with somebody, with a group. And Jesus is asking us to repent from that kind of group identity. And even within the church. It starts first, the identity that Jesus calls me into. Who are you? And when people ask me who I am, I'd like to say, I am a mystery. And I'm finding out, I'm discovering, it's being revealed who I am. Can you help me? And that's a great way to let Jesus come in and then follow him out. I am in him and he is in me. And I seek to help you know who you are by how I relate with you. I don't relate with you according to your cap and sweatshirt. I relate with you something more interiorly. As Jesus does with each of us, we are asked to do that with each other. Well, that's the celebration of the Eucharist. It's a celebration of how we are going to watch Jesus. But we don't say, I've got to be exactly like Jesus. What I think is going to happen when we get to heaven, it's not why Jesus will say, why were you not more like me? He's going to say, why were you not more like who you really are? Who have you allowed me, Jesus says, to tell you who you are? And I will do that from the Gospels, and I will do it from how you let Jesus in. His Spirit, not just his actions. Actions flow from Spirit. So when Jesus catches us along whatever shore, whatever ocean or lake or river, whatever life stream we are next to, he comes and says, can you let me come inside so you can follow me inside? And then can you follow me outside as we go from the interior, the Spirit, to the revelation? Well, that's a great way to begin this new semester of the liturgical year. Ordinary time. Receiving, believing, and distributing. Letting him in, letting him out, helping the diseases of false identification in others. Not by what we tell them, but by how we relate with them. Are you a mystery? Can I help you in some way let go of any false identities? It's a great mission. It's a great gospel today. And if you read the first reading, a people that walk in darkness have seen a great light. The great light now is Jesus illuminating the reality about who each of us is. Jesus, let me receive you in and free me by that interior intimacy to let you out.